girls can you bring?
50.
50.
50
Good.
niñas.
¿Cuántos años tienen ustedes?
14, 13.
Dale.
Yo no he hablado.
Le dije $1,000.
O más. O más.
My name's Tim Ballard. I'm the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, which is an organization dedicated to fight human trafficking and child exploitation. Before that, spent 12 years as a special agent and undercover operator, mostly working child crimes and human trafficking investigations. If people knew what was happening there, they would be shocked. Obviously, I have a lot to say about border politics and the trafficking of children and what's happening to the children that are being smuggled and or trafficked into the United States. The United States is generally acknowledged as the #1 consumer of child rape material, child exploitation material. So start doing the math and you think, okay, so where the demand, there's kids who are vulnerable, who are taken, who are lured, who are kidnapped, and the market is the United States. How do we get kids into that market? And so when you start with that and you understand that there's cartels, so they make about $14 million a day in the business of getting kids and people into the United States. We have a policy that facilitates it. If you're in Nicaragua and you want to come to the United States, you paid a couple $1,000s to a smuggler. That smuggler will get you to the border and then hand a child to you. We've been down on the border. I worked there for 10 years. We've seen this. We know this is happening. And they put the child into the hands of this client and they say, just tell the Border Patrol that this is your kid. And they get in and then 72 hours later they're released. And then they call a number, drop the kid off, and the kid's just recycled. There's about 26,000 unaccompanied minors who came across. The ones we've found, by the way. And so they're in the protection, custody, care of the United States. What happens to them? So again, U.S. sex market, biggest in the world, children taken pretty easily through lure or through different ways in these very impoverished, desperate places. How do you get that kid into the United States? Well, just send them over. Send them over, put them on a raft, push them over the river. And a Border Patrol agent will actually, it's not their fault, by the way, they're just following policy, but they actually facilitate the trafficking. They're like, oh, come here and come sit in this detention center. And now you just need anyone from the U.S. to come in. Easy to falsify paperwork claiming a familial relationship, right? Hey, little Miguel's my nephew. Well, there you go. It's this crazy thing that people are playing politics with, and they're playing politics with the lives of children. I was asked early on to work in the child crimes and the trafficking unit, early 2000s. It was new to all of us. And I started looking at cases dealing with child exploitation material. And it was just in abundance. And so many of the kids were in locations we couldn't identify, many foreign produced, and how could we ever find them, right? And there was a case that broke me. It was 2006, when one of the children that I had seen in the video we found coming across port of entry. The guy's name was Earl Buchanan. You can look him up. He was smuggling or trafficking these children, and he was actually producing child exploitation material with these children that he was getting and taking across the border. And I saw this child, and the child ran to me at one point and hugged me and said to me at 5 years old, "I don't belong here." And his perfect English was almost shocking to me because I thought he would speak Spanish. His perfect English because he's been basically raised by this monster who had him since he was a baby. And I thought, this is what I will dedicate the rest of my life to doing, is trying to find these children who are being exploited and who are being trafficked. About that same time, the U.S. changed its laws, which allowed for the first time U.S. agents to go overseas, investigate sex tourists, and hold them accountable overseas for raping children as if they committed that crime on U.S. soil. I was put on many cases internationally. And I can't believe that it's on the beaches of these cities and towns through Central and South America that I'm working in the Caribbean. The problem was I could only stay on the case if I found a nexus back to the United States. If this case couldn't be prosecuted in a U.S. court, I had to come home. There's a couple of cases I was working, one in Colombia, one in Haiti, where I got so far deep, probably deeper than I should have, into the investigation, and I knew that walking away would end the investigation. And so I told my wife about it. I said, what do we do? And she said, do you think you can rescue those kids if you stay? I said, yeah, but the only way I can stay is if I quit. She was almost disappointed in me. She's like, are you kidding me? You're telling me that if you quit your job, you might be able to liberate children who are sex slaves? And you're even questioning what we're to do? She's like, you're going to quit your job. That was when I turned in my badge, my gun, and we launched out. It was Operation Underground Railroad. So we went in and did these 2 operations and rescued over 100 women and children on that Colombia operation. And then in Haiti, there was another case that we found this group of 28 children who were being sold out of a false orphanage. We busted that place up, got those kids out, and actually my wife and I adopted 2 of those children who have been home for 3 years now with us. And they're a reminder to me of every day of why we do what we do. When I can see the happiness of liberty on their faces every day, knowing what the trajectory of their life was actually heading to otherwise. And that's what keeps me personally motivated to keep up this fight. And today we're in 26 countries, and most of the states in the United States supporting our amazing law enforcement here as well, to fight human trafficking and child exploitation.